Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India begins inspection of all Boeing 787 planes as a multidisciplinary committee formed to probe Air India crash. Black box recovered, search on for the cockpit voice recorder. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave on a three-nation visit to Cyprus, Canada and Croatia on Sunday. Iran retaliates with missile attacks on Israel. The UN nuclear agency confirms internal radiation at Natanz nuclear facility, but no external risks detected. And UN Security Council meets over Iran-Israel tensions. Iran accuses US of being complicit in Israeli strikes. US says it was not involved. In a press briefing on Saturday, Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu Kinjarappu said the plane crash near Ahmedabad airport shook the entire nation. During the briefing, the minister informed that a high-level committee has been constituted to investigate the crash. Earlier, the aviation minister held a high-level meeting with senior officials from the ministry and other related departments.
Committee before. And immediately we have constituted the committee also yesterday under the chairmanship of Home Secretary, Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Additional Secretary from MHA, one representative from the state of Gujarat where the incident actually happened.
The minister highlighted that the Directorate General of Civil Aviation has ordered to conduct an extended surveillance into the Boeing 787 series aircraft model.
We do have a very strict protocol, robust protocol, which we follow every time. But even after, when the incident happened, we also felt that there is a need to do an extended surveillance into the Boeing 787 series. So from the DGCA, we have also given an order to do the extended surveillance for the 787 planes. There are 34 in our Indian aircraft fleet today. I believe that 8 have already been inspected.
He said that every theory going around this crash will also be analyzed independently by the investigating committee.
Any theory that is going around this crash, everything will be analyzed. And the high-level committee is going to do its own investigation, which is going to be independent of all the other investigations that are going to happen. AIB is going to be the technical side of the investigation, which will be very much core to what we are trying to do in finding out what exactly happened. And the high-level committee is also going to meet very soon.
Right, joining me from New Delhi for more on this story is my colleague Akshay Dongre. Akshay, tell us more about the main takeaways from the minister's briefing.
Well, one of the most important details that has come in from the briefing by the Civil Aviation Minister is about the recovery of the black box and the timeline that has been set up for the investigation to begin and to be completed as well. So this is going to be a fast-track inquiry into the reasons of why the crash took place, what can be done to strengthen aviation security and safety of the passengers as well. So the committee that has been formed will be meeting on Monday, and the time that has been given to the committee to conduct and complete the investigation in this fatal air crash is a time period of about 3 months. So within 3 months, this investigation has to be completed and results have to be given to the government of India as far as the reasons are concerned behind this fatal crash that resulted in the loss of lives of over 250 people. So, as far as the death toll is concerned, that has been confirmed by the aviation ministry, is 230 passengers that were flying in the aircraft, 2 pilots and 10 crew members. The death toll, as far as this aviation disaster is concerned, is about 241, in excluding the one survivor from the plane crash. That detail has been confirmed. The recovery of black box has been done. The flight data recorder that will be now investigated into see what more details can be retrieved from the black box as to why the engines failed, why the crash took place, why so many lives have been lost to this aviation disaster. Clearly, this is one of the most deadly aviation disaster in several decades of India's aviation history, and one of the first of this scale in the mega after the mega boost that has been given to the civil aviation sector of the country. That has also resulted in record number of people now flying from one part of the country to another and even to abroad. So certainly all aspects of this tragedy will be investigated, and a timeline has been set to conduct the inquiry in a time-bound manner. Back to you.
Akshay, you spoke about the committee. What more can you tell us about the composition or mandate of the committee that's been formed to investigate the crash?
Well, it is going to be a high-level committee which will be headed by the Home Secretary of the country, the Civil Aviation Secretary, who also spoke about during the press conference. He will be part of the committee as well, one Under Secretary from the MHA, one representative from the National Disaster Relief Forces will also be present, among other officials from the Gujarat government, because it is going to be a joint investigation by the central government as well as the state government as to see that what could have been done to prevent the crash and what can be done to strengthen security and safety of the passengers. So, very senior level officials will be part of this committee, which will be reporting directly to the Home Ministry of the country.
Right, we'll leave it there. Akshay, thank you. Akshay Dongre reporting there on the air safety meeting that took place a short while ago in New Delhi. Now, several teams, including the National Security Guards, the National Disaster Response Force, the Indian Air Force, and Central Industrial Security Force have all been deployed to the crash site to inspect the wreckage of the ill-fated London-bound Air India flight. These teams are involved in search operations, securing the area and assisting with the investigation process. The headquarters of the Directorate General of Civil Aviation will remain open today. As most of the passengers were severely burnt, forensic experts say the only possible option for their identification is DNA profiling. The government is now undertaking DNA sampling process for the relatives, and the official number of deceased will be declared only after the completion of DNA tests. So far, samples of 192 people have been taken for testing at the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital. Meanwhile, the Gujarat Home Minister Harsh Sanghvi today reviewed the DNA testing process at the Directorate of Forensic Sciences of the Home Department. The Home Secretary, the IGP of Intelligence Bureau and Director of Forensic Science Laboratory were also present.
फॉरेंसिक साइंस की पूरे गुजरात की टीम जो पिछले 2 रातों से सोए बिना रात दिन एक करके जल्द से जल्द सभी परिवारों के डीएनए मैच के लिए काम कर रही है। कुल मिला के भारत सरकार से भी बहुत बड़ी संख्या में फॉरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट्स की मदद यहाँ पे भेजी गई है। उसी के साथ गुजरात सरकार के भी 36 जितने फॉरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट लगातार दिन रात इस पे काम कर रहे हैं।
Right, joining me from Ahmedabad is my colleague Meghna Dev. Meghna, how's the preliminary investigation into the plane crash coming along? Has the cockpit voice recorder been recovered yet?
As far as we understand and we've got to know from the crash site, Ramesh, the black box has been recovered. The important aspect is, obviously, we know that the box is made in such a manner, it's built in such a manner that it can survive intensive impact. it can survive pressure, it can survive heat and extreme temperatures. So what we've got to know that it was recovered on the rooftop of where this aircraft crashed. Now, having said that, important will be that this will help the in-depth investigation. What happened while they were taking off, what happened before, while they were checking the parameters, though whatever the conversation in the cockpit would have happened, and obviously the Mayday call, as the aviation ministry said, was also given, but the pilots did not have any time before the aircraft crashed. So it is going to be extremely crucial for the investigation. Besides this, we also understand that a team of 40 people is helping the investigative team, assisting the investigative team, helping them with assistance. We also did see today, earlier in the afternoon, that there were forensic personnel on the ground trying to collect as much evidence as they can. We also see still there in many parts, or especially the tail part of the aircraft, there is still a lot of work of debris removal that is to be done. So that work was being carried out earlier in the afternoon. The rest of the work almost is complete, but obviously there is a lot of evidence that needs to be collected from the ground, for which the forensic personnel are constantly working. And the investigative team definitely has been on the site. We also know that professionals, experts from US and UK have also arrived. We have been seeing the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau on the ground. So the investigation is definitely will definitely unfold, will reveal the exact cause. Definitely there are a number of speculations and number of theories that are coming out. Experts are also trying to guess what would have happened, but the exact situation will definitely come out after after thorough and in-depth investigation.
Right. Now we know that charred remains make DNA matching that much more challenging. So are grief-stricken families still queuing up to give their DNA samples? Have any bodies been returned to their families?
Unfortunately, we do see that there is a huge crowd of people who are coming at the hospital, the BJ, near the BJ Medical College, the civil hospital, where this DNA collecting center has been set up. The samples are being collected. What we've got to know, though it is not through official sources, but when we were on the ground, we could understand that few of the people have been able. Identification has happened for few of the bodies, but we cannot give a number as of now, because officially this is still a dynamic situation, and the numbers are still continuously increasing in terms of the DNA matching. What we also get to know from the people who are doing this exercise, they told us that sometimes when the DNA profile is sometimes it is easy to detect, but just because the bodies are so charred, severely charred, and also most of the body parts are fragmented, it makes it even difficult to detect the DNA. So that is making the task very, very difficult for the professionals, for the forensic science, the FSL team, and obviously the National Forensic Science University, where this entire system has been set up, and the further process is being carried out. But what we also understand is that there are we get to understand that there are few more people who have it has been fatal for few of the medical students as well. But as of now, there is no number that has clearly come out, because obviously the mortal remains are also fragmented. It is very crucial. DNA sampling is currently proving very crucial for identification, because not only for Indian citizens, Ramesh, but also when we are talking about other nationals, or British citizens for that matter, or Portuguese or Canadian, we will have to understand that all that identification process, and after that the repatriation of mortal remains, or if we can say the entire paperwork and documentation process will have to go ahead for their mortal remains to reach back to their countries. And the British High Commission officials had arrived in Ahmedabad to work with the state government administration to ensure that this process works swiftly, because obviously it is very heart-wrenching for the families who have lost their loved ones in this tragic incident.
Indeed, Meghna, thank you. Meghna Dev reporting there from Ahmedabad. Now, there was one miraculous escape in Thursday's airline tragedy. It was the smallest twist of chance that made all the difference between life and death. The sole survivor of the Air India plane crash said he walked out of a broken emergency exit after the aircraft hit a medical college hostel in Ahmedabad. DD India's Meghna Dev spoke to the UK national of Indian origin, Ramesh Vishwas Kumar.
The lone survivor who miraculously survived this fatal air crash is with us, is undergoing treatment at the civil hospital in Ahmedabad. We did see the video float on social media where he himself, did go to the ambulance. Are you feeling better now?
Yes, better than yesterday.
Obviously. And how is the treatment going on?
Treatment going good. Everything is, yes, good.
What was the situation yesterday? Can you describe for us, please?
I can't explain. Everything happened in my eye. I can't.
How did you manage to escape?
I just...
Did you pull the emergency doors?
No. Emergency door is broken.
Yeah.
My seat is broken.
Yeah.
Then I see the page little bit.
Yeah.
Then I will try to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
So, did the aircraft catch fire before you came out?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit fire. After me, I'm out. Then blast.
Did anybody help you, or you after that you came out on your own? How did you jump from the aircraft?
I'm not jumping.
Okay.
I just walk out.
Okay.
Then ambulance coming in.
You did walk out on the building, or?
No, in floor.
On the floor.
Yes. Inside the aeroplane.
He has got injuries and bruises on his face. How is the treatment going ahead?
He is having minor injuries only. Some abrasions over his left forearm and swelling over the left eyelid and over the eyes. And chest abdomen is clear. No any long bone fractures present. Patient is vitally stable. We have started the oral feeds and he is tolerating feeds. No complaints of nausea, vomiting or any fever.
Where your family? Where's your family?
Family is in London. Me and my brother staying in India last 8-9 months.
How do you feel that you have survived this kind of?
I can't explain. It's miracle, everything.
Here we have the lone survivor of the attack, definitely at a loss of words of what he saw yesterday, and definitely something that nobody can encapsulate in words in terms of the massive tragedy that has struck with this airplane crash. What we also understand that this lone survivor is the only witness of what had happened that day. Besides, a number of people who were at the hostel mess during lunch have also faced serious injuries and are being treated at this hospital, the civil hospital here in Ahmedabad. With camera person Vinod Oja, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Ahmedabad, Gujarat.
Still to come on DD India Newshour. US soldiers in Los Angeles detain first civilian after Trump order. And tensions in West Asia have resulted in a jump in oil prices. Details after this break.
Change is not always a choice. It is about rethinking the way we live, what we consume, and the everyday choices that we make.
Commercializing something in the form of tourism, it opens up channels of revenue for the local population, right? Your farmers are seeing a boost of people that are coming there. Your retailers, the people who have shops, are now seeing international tourists walk down and buy cents from them.
We have been working together to build a model of involving the youth and the children of the village in the restoration efforts in a way that they may find culturally relevant.
It needs big actions. It needs things like the deposit returns. It needs bans on certain single-use plastic items.
If we all join hands and embrace organic farming, only then can we ensure a healthier future for the next generation.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Iran launched retaliatory airstrikes in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv following Israel's biggest ever military strike against Tehran. in a bid to prevent it from developing a nuclear weapon. Air raid sirens sounded across Israel, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, sending residents rushing into shelters as successive waves of Iranian missiles streaked across the skies and Israeli interceptors rose up to meet them. Israel's military said Iran fired fewer than 100 missiles and most were intercepted or fell short. The military said its air defense systems are operating, seeking to intercept Iranian missiles. The U.S. military helped shoot down Iranian missiles headed for Israel. It said rescue teams were operating at a number of locations across the country where fallen projectiles were reported. Iran says that the strikes were in response to Israel's attacks on Iran early on Friday against commanders, nuclear scientists, military targets and nuclear sites. Israel's defense minister said on Saturday that the Iranian leadership had crossed a red line by firing at civilians and will pay a heavy price for it. While in Iran, several explosions were heard overnight in the capital, Tehran. 2 projectiles also hit Tehran's Mehrabad airport. Close to key Iranian leadership sites, the airport hosts an Air Force base with fighter jets and transport aircraft. Earlier, Israel blasted Iran's huge Natanz underground nuclear site and killed its top military commanders. Meanwhile, Iran accused the United States of being complicit in Israel's attacks on the Islamic Republic at the United Nations Security Council. Denying the claims, Washington, D.C. told Tehran that it would be wise to negotiate over its nuclear program. Iranian ambassador Amir Saeed Iravani accused Israel of seeking to kill diplomacy, to sabotage negotiations, and to drag the region into a wider conflict.
Earlier today, Israel continued its act of aggression against Iran, once again targeting multiple civilian and military sites across several Iranian cities. These deliberate and systematic killings were not only illegal but inhuman, a chilling display of calculated aggression. These atrocities constitute clear act of state terrorism and flagrant violation of international law. Those who support this regime with the United States at the forefront must understand that they are complicit by aiding and enabling these crimes, by they share full responsibility for the consequences. Supporting Israel today is supporting war crimes, crimes against humanity.
In response, Israel's UN ambassador Danny Danon said Iran had been preparing for war and Israel's strikes were an act of national preservation.
We waited for diplomacy to work. We gave the international community time. We watched negotiations stretched on as Iran made forced concessions or refused the most fundamental conditions. All the while, Iran continued to build toward the unthinkable. Last night, the wait ended. We will not relent, and we will not allow a genocidal regime to endanger our people. Third, we struck the core of the nuclear program, the underground enrichment facilities at Natanz. This facility was operating at a military-grade capacity. Intelligence confirmed that within days, Iran could have produced enough material for multiple bombs.
Senior U.S. official McCoy Pitt said the United States will continue to seek a diplomatic solution.
As President Trump has repeatedly said, this dangerous regime cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Israel advised us this action was necessary for its self-defense. Every sovereign nation has the right to defend itself, and Israel is no exception. The United States was informed of the strikes ahead of time. but was not militarily involved in these strikes. Our absolute foremost priority is the protection of U.S. citizens, personnel, and forces in the region.
Iran has ruled out talks as tensions with Israel rise. This report by Russia Today has the details.
The IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, in a statement has said that it has successfully launched a barrage of ballistic missiles and drones against targets inside Israel and successfully hitting air bases as well as missile production centers inside Israel. In terms of the negotiations, Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman said that with all this said, definitely it is not the case that Israel, with the support of the United States, launches invasion against Iran. And at the same time, the U.S. talks about negotiations. Definitely Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesman Ismail Baghai in a new development said that the talks is meaningless. So it means it might be a reference that the talks might not continue in the future. So we have to wait for further official statements in this regard. But again, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, regarding the Israeli attacks against Iran, has said that Iran rejects the calls for any restraint in its attacks against Israeli targets.
Meanwhile, residents have been taking refuge in bomb shelters because of Iranian strikes. Russia Today brings you this report from a bomb shelter in Jerusalem.
In this neighborhood with relatively new buildings, there are so-called safe rooms in every house with fortified walls and strong doors. But there are also public shelters like this one that I'm going to show you right now. So we enter like this. It's right here, and you can find the address on every map. So this one is quite spacious because this is residential area and there are many people with families. Air defense systems, including Iron Dome and David Sling, were activated nationwide. The sky lit up with interceptions, loud booms followed, some allegedly from successful hits, others from debris. Footage from Tel Aviv shows what looks a lot like a direct hit, thick smoke rising between buildings. Well, this is definitely escalation, real, fast, and still far from over. Marie Finoshina, RT, reporting from a bomb shelter in Jerusalem.
Tensions in West Asia have resulted in a jump in oil prices, which settled 7% higher, feeding investor worries that the combat could widely disrupt oil exports. Brent crude futures settled at $74.23 a barrel, while US WTI crude finished at $72.98 per barrel. U.S. Marines deployed to Los Angeles temporarily detained a civilian on Friday, the U.S. military confirmed, in the first known detention by active duty troops deployed to the city. The brief detention marked the first time federal troops have detained a civilian since they were deployed to the nation's second largest city by President Donald Trump in response to protests over the administration's immigration arrests. The detained man, Marcos Leo, was later released without charges and said the Marines were just doing their job. The last use of the military for direct police action was in 1992 when the California governor asked President George H.W. Bush to invoke the Insurrection Act during the Los Angeles riots after the Rodney King verdict. Still to come on DD India Newshour. Students perform yoga on the beach. And visuals from the combined graduation parade at Air Force Academy in Hyderabad.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. when supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. India begins inspection of all Boeing 787 planes as a multidisciplinary committee forms to probe Air India crash. Black box recovered. Search on for the cockpit voice recorder. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to leave on a three-nation visit to Cyprus, Canada and Croatia on Sunday. Iran retaliates with missile attacks on Israel. The UN Nuclear Agency confirms internal radiation at Natanz nuclear facility, but no external risks detected. And UN Security Council meets over Iran-Israel tensions. Iran accuses US of being complicit in Israeli strikes. The US says it was not involved. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a three-nation visit from 15th to the 19th of June. In the first leg of his visit, at the invitation of the President of Cyprus, Nicholas Christodoulidis, Prime Minister Modi will pay an official visit to Cyprus on the 15th and 16th of June. This will be the first visit of an Indian Prime Minister to Cyprus in over 2 decades. PM Modi will hold talks with President Christodoulidis and address business leaders. The visit aims to reaffirm the shared commitment of the two countries to deepen bilateral ties and strengthen India's engagement with the Mediterranean region and the European Union. Here's a report.
As part of India's deepening engagement with Europe, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will pay an official visit to Cyprus from June 15th to 16th. This will be the first leg of his three-nation visit. Later, he will travel to Canada for the G7 summit and Croatia. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Cyprus is the first by an Indian PM in over 2 decades. In capital Nicosia, Prime Minister Modi will hold talks with President Nikos Christodoulidis and also address business leaders in Limassol. The visit will reaffirm the shared commitment of the two countries to deepen bilateral ties and strengthen India's engagement with the Mediterranean region and the European Union. India and Cyprus established diplomatic ties in 1962. Bilateral relations between both the countries have been traditionally very close and friendly. India had supported the freedom struggle of Cyprus. Cyprus supported India on crucial issues, including India's election to UNSC and India-US Civil Nuclear Agreement, the NSG, and IAEA. Prime Minister Modi's visit aligns with India's efforts to deepen ties with European Union, particularly as Cyprus is set to assume the rotating presidency of the EU Council in the first half of 2026. Cyprus and Croatia are also seen as potential partners in the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, a major infrastructure initiative launched during India's G20 summit, which aims to enhance connectivity between India, the Middle East and Europe. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Cyprus comes at a sensitive time. This is his first foreign visit after Operation Sindoor. Cyprus was one of the first countries to condemn the Pahalgam terror attack. India has always supported a peaceful resolution of the Cyprus dispute as per international law. In that sense, this visit is seen as a powerful symbol of solidarity against common geopolitical adversaries and forces. With camera person Senthil, Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India in Limassol, Cyprus.
And Shubhendu joins us from Nicosia for more on the much anticipated visit of Indian Prime Minister. Shubhendu, what more can you tell us about PM Modi's visit to Cyprus?
Hello, Ramesh. My location would be Limassol, which is about 60 kilometers from capital Nicosia. Behind me, what you can see is the Levantine Sea, which is part of the Mediterranean Sea region. Well, hugely significant visit by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is coming up to Cyprus. Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be engaging with the President of Cyprus, host of issues in focus. India and Cyprus have been historical partners. They've had close ties, but in the 21st century, this partnership is also going forward in the domain of innovation, clean energy. India and Cyprus also are going to be important partners as far as India, Middle East, Europe pathway is concerned, corridor is concerned, where Cyprus and Croatia, that Prime Minister will be visiting in the third leg of his visit, are going to be important points of connection. There's a great friendship between the peoples of the two countries as well. They've had a common imperialistic history, colonial history, both fighting the British imperialists and India, in fact, helping Cyprus gain independence around 1962. So in that sense, there's a very great degree of convergence that is there. But the visit is also very important from the symbolism that it represents. As I mentioned, Prime Minister's first visit to a foreign land after the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor. In that sense, Cyprus also has been tackling and battling the challenge of cross-border terrorism. Cyprus itself battles what is called the Cyprus question, and Prime Minister's presence here speaks a lot about the solidarity that it represents between India and this island nation.
And would you also have an update for us on the ongoing Iran-Israel tensions, Shubhendu?
Right, Ramesh. In fact, the reason why I mentioned my location was that it's important to know that this is Levantine Sea, about 400 kilometers from here is a bay of Israel, and the distance between Cyprus and Israel is about 400 kilometers. And though there's a distance, though Cyprus is part of the European territory, but the impact, the brunt, and the concerns around the escalating tensions between Israel and Iran can be felt here. A lot of experts that we spoke to, they said that this kind of escalation does not augur well for the entire region of West Asia. We've seen 2 nights of unprecedented escalation. First, Israel targeting the nuclear and ballistic missile sites in Iran. Iran promising to retaliate and putting it into action as well. First, a barrage of drone attacks, and thereafter, last night, we've seen this unending barrage of ballistic missiles that it had launched towards Israel. Israel's air defense acting efficiently as it usually does. However, there are still some targets that were hit in Israel, leading to some casualties. Both sides have warned the other to curb escalation. Israel has said, and America has reiterated, that if Iran does not stop, also President Trump has said it very clearly, that this is an opportunity for Iran to protect itself, save itself, because if it does not agree to that contentious nuclear deal that America was negotiating with Tehran, this could be, in fact, a brutal end to Iran. For Israel, sources inform us, while the target has been the nuclear sites and the military installations, the larger vision, a more ambitious one, though difficult to achieve, would be possibly a regime change. But for now, these escalations are a matter of concern for the entire region. Countries around the region and the world pushing the two countries, in fact, to play down now.
All right, we'll leave it there. Shubhendu, thank you. Appreciate it. And my colleague Shubhendu, who is in Nicosia, the capital of Cyprus, earlier spoke exclusively with Professor Andreas Theopanis, president of the Cyprus Center for European and International Affairs, to understand issues in focus during PM Modi's visit to the island nation. Take a listen.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to visit Cyprus in the first leg of his three-nation visit. Cyprus has been a cradle of civilization. Today, it embodies a duality. While on the one hand, there is economic prosperity, the Cyprus question, the dispute since the Turkish invasion of 1974 still persists. To talk about it, I have with me Professor Andreas Theopanis. He's the president of Cyprus Center for European and International Affairs. Professor Theopanis, welcome to DD India.
Thank you very much.
First, I'd like to get your perspective on the significance of India-Cyprus relations and particular expectations that you may have from Prime Minister Modi's visit.
The relations between the two countries are very important. Since the independence of Cyprus, and even before, India has been a staunch supporter of Cyprus independence. It was a policy based on principle. The relations between the two countries have been growing ever since, and they are a very high level. And with the coming visit of the Prime Minister of India, we are looking forward to further consolidating what exists and even broadening these relations in various aspects, including economy, science, culture, and also the support of India for the Cyprus question in international fora.
The close relations that the two nations share, sir, in the event of the terror attack in Pahalgam, India, Cyprus was one of the first countries to, in fact, very vocally condemn the attack. How do you see the convergence that India and Cyprus have over the issue of countering the challenge of terrorism?
Cyprus has always been against terrorism, and I would also say that because of various reasons, including historical and cultural, Cyprus has been very much in favor of a Gandhian approach to addressing issues. So it is a natural outcome that Cyprus condemns terrorism in that part of the world as well, in a friendly country.
Right. And finally, we understand that in the coming year, 2026, Cyprus is said to be the president of the Council of European Union. What are going to be your priorities there?
Okay. I think Cyprus would also try to push for certain issues that are important for the European Union as a whole, including energy, economy, democracy, and also the importance of a common foreign and security policy. Within the framework of this presidency, Cyprus would also try to promote its own objectives in relation to the Cyprus question, trying to acquire more support from the Union than what has been provided so far.
Thank you very much for speaking with DD India. That was Professor Andreas Theopanis speaking about the significance of India-Cyprus relations and also the kind of role and place that Cyprus occupies in the current geopolitics. With camera person Senthil, Shubhendu Ghosh in Nicosia, Cyprus for DD India.
The inaugural session of Yoga Connect, a global yoga summit by Ministry of Ayush, was organized in New Delhi as an opportunity to bring together people who are shaping the future of yoga. Yoga gurus, policymakers, health experts, business leaders, researchers and global influencers, both from India and abroad, attended the summit. A major highlight of the summit was the release of the Yoga Prabhav report, nationwide study conducted by Central Council for Research in Yoga and Naturopathy. It assesses the impact of International Day of Yoga over the past decade. India's Minister of State for Ayush, Pratap Rao Jadhav, while addressing the summit, said that yoga is India's approach to global wellness through ancient traditions.
योग भारत के प्राचीन ज्ञान के माध्यम से वैश्विक कल्याण के लिए हमारा दृष्टिकोण है, हमारे समय के साथ गहराई से जुड़ती है, क्योंकि आज मानवता अभूतपूर्व चुनौतियों का सामना कर रही है जो सीमाओं से परे है। जलवायु परिवर्तन से लेकर मानसिक स्वास्थ्य संकटों तक, जीवन शैली से जुड़ी बीमारियों से लेकर वैश्विक महामारी तक, योग मानवता के लिए भारत का उपहार और अमृत विरासत है।
Over 100 expectant women came together for Yog Samavesh and joined this wellness journey at VMMC and Safdarjung Hospital in New Delhi today. A 10-day yoga program for women is being run here by the Devaya Society. The beautiful signature event was rooted in inclusivity and accessibility. To raise awareness about the health benefits of yoga for women, students of Women's College of Education performed yoga at Muthunagar Beach at Tuticorin district in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu. Various asanas like Surya Namaskar, Pranayam and Dhanurasana were performed under the guidance of experts. The initiative emphasized that yoga is not just an exercise but a union of body, mind and soul, especially empowering women in today's fast-paced world. Still to come on DD India Newshour. Trump signs executive order to clear the way for Nippon Steel deal. And South Africa inch closer towards victory against Australia, needs 69 runs to win the World Test Championship title. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. On the occasion of World Blood Donor Day 2025, Indira Gandhi Cultural Centre at the High Commission of India, Dhaka, organized a blood donation camp on Saturday. The IGCC organized the event in association with Bangladesh Red Crescent Society at the Indian Cultural Centre, Dhaka. Members of the Indian Mission community voluntarily donated blood to mark the observance of the day. Similarly, the Assistant High Commissioner of India at Rajshahi also organized a blood donation campaign on the occasion. Indian students of the colleges and officials of the AHCI voluntarily donated blood with generosity and enthusiasm. US President Donald Trump on Friday signed an executive order paving the way for a Nippon Steel investment in US Steel. However, the development comes with the condition that the Japanese company must comply with a national security agreement submitted by the federal government. Trump's order did not detail the terms of the national security agreement. Both sides said in a joint statement that the agreement stipulates that approximately $11 billion in new investments will be made by 2028. It includes giving the US government a golden share, essentially veto power, to ensure the country's national security interests are protected. In sports news, South Africa inched closer to their maiden World Test Championship title as they need less than 20 runs in the final against Australia at Lord's on Saturday. Opener Markram, who notched up a century, and captain Temba Bavuma, who slammed a half-century, took the Proteas on the brink of victory. The pair added 147 runs for the third wicket. If they win, it will be the second highest successful run chase in a test at Lord's. At close of play on Friday, South Africa had reached 213 runs for the loss of 2 wickets after Australia had set a target of 282 runs. South Africa's last International Cricket Council title came in 1998, but they have a long history of folding under pressure, and their supporters will not take anything for granted against defending champions Australia. And joining me for more is my colleague Meher Raj Singh. Meher, how's the match poised now? Tell us more.
Yeah, as you can see, the South African team just needs under 20 runs for their maiden ICC World Test Championship trophy, and also they're going to end a 27-year-old wait, which they have been, their fans have been waiting for such a big moment. The last trophy they won was in 1998, where they won the ICC Knockouts Cup, which is now known as the Champions Trophy. And also, we have to talk about Markram, the innings he's played, brilliant century, and also he's the first South African batter to score a century in the ICC finals, tournament finals, and also Temba Bavuma leading from the front. Captain Temba Bavuma has been successful with the South African team. In the 9 tests he has captained South Africa. South Africa has won 8 of them and drew just 1. So he has a flawless record in his test captaincy. And also, we cannot count out Australia, who have been neck to neck with South Africa in this thrilling final. If you talk about Stark and even Captain Pat Cummins, they have been all guns blazing for the past 4 days. And Cummins, if you talk about, he has now become one of the most successful bowlers in the ICC tournament finals. So again, it's a historic moment on the brink for South Africa. They're going to win an ICC tournament, and we have, as you mentioned, they have succumbed to pressure before. If you talk about the ICC T20 World Cup against India, they lost from a winnable position. So again, they have a responsibility to change and rewrite the history. So I think this is going to be a very joyous moment for the South African cricket fans.
Indeed, as Meher is reporting there, South Africans are less than 20 runs away from a momentous win, their first in nearly 27 years. Right, in other sports news, former England football captain David Beckham was knighted for his services for sport and charity, with the Who singer Roger Daltrey and actor Gary Oldman also receiving the honour. Beckham played 115 times for England as well as for some of the world's most high-profile clubs, including Manchester United and Real Madrid. He'll now be known as Sir, and his wife Victoria, a former member of the Spice Girls pop group, will be known as Lady Beckham. The 50-year-old, who has long been in the running for a knighthood, was appointed an officer of the Order of the British Empire in 2003. Victoria later received the same award for services to the fashion industry. In tennis, top seed and home favourite Alexander Zverev will face American Ben Shelton in the semi-final of the Stuttgart Open on Saturday. Zverev is seeking his first grass court title as he defeated Brandon Nakashima 7-5, 6-4 to advance to the last four. Zverev was involved in a tight opening set, and he was far more dominant in the second set as he finished the match with 31 winners in a contest that lasted 9-10 minutes. Zverev will play third seed Shelton next after the American defeated Jiri Lehecka 6-4, 6-4, firing 18 aces. Shelton was so dominant in the second set that he did not lose a single point on serve, while he won 100% of his first serve points in the match. The victory ensures Shelton will break into the top 10 for the first time in his career. Top seed Qingwen Zhang will take on Amanda Anisimova in the semi-finals of the Queen's Club Championships in London on Saturday. Zhang beat home favourite Emma Raducanu 6-2, 6-4 to move into the last four. The Chinese player showed that she could be a worthy contender heading into Wimbledon. Zhang has won singles titles on clay and hard courts, but she is still adapting to grass. The 22-year-old showed a marked improvement in a match with Raducanu. While 37-year-old Tatiana Maria of Germany upset 2022 Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina 6-4, 7-6 to reach the last four. She'll face second seed Madison Keys, who battled back from a set down to beat Diana Schneider 2-6, 6-3, 6-4. Maria, who came through the qualifiers, had also knocked out sixth seed Carolina Muchova in the last 16. Lionel Messi is looking forward to an exciting Club World Cup and is eager to compete against the best clubs on the eve of the tournament's opening game. Inter Miami face Egypt's Al Ahly in the opening fixture in Miami on Saturday, with 32 teams contesting the expanded Club World Cup in 12 stadiums across the United States. Teams are divided into 8 groups of 4, including European powerhouses and recent Champions League winners Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, German champions Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, Manchester City, Chelsea, Inter Milan and Juventus.
Well, it is also a very nice opportunity for the South African teams from different places that come to compete with the big European teams. The teams that are powerhouses, that are a reference point, that have, as I said before, the best players in the world, and well, it is a nice opportunity to compete with them and a nice experience that will be enjoyed by both the player who plays and the fan who goes to the stadium.
The passing out parade of the spring term 2025 was conducted at the Indian Military Academy in Dehradun on Saturday. The parade was reviewed by Sri Lankan Army Commander General Lasantha Rodrigo. The event was marked by an impressive drill display which was a testament to the high standards of discipline and training imparted at the center. Addressing the passing out parade, Lieutenant General Lasanta Rodrigo highlighted that drill is the bedrock of military discipline.
It's a great privilege and honor for me to stand here on the historic parade ground of Indian Military Academy, not only as the commander of the Sri Lanka Army, but also as a proud alumnus who stood exactly where you stand today, 36 years ago. I'm deeply honored and moved to the point of tears to stand before you as the first IMA alumnus to return as the commander of the Sri Lanka Army and review this parade.
In the southern Indian city of Hyderabad, Chief of Air Staff reviewed the combined graduation parade of the 215th course at the Air Force Academy in Dundigal. The event commemorated the successful completion of the pre-commissioning training of flight cadets across various branches of the Indian Air Force. During the ceremony, the RO conferred the President's Commission to the graduating trainees. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can get the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that is now on your screen to download it. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.